Hello, Dr. Musawadin. We chose the topic of biometrics for our Management Information Systems project. Our team consists of Laura, Justin, Valeria, myself, Caesar, and Cameron.
So what is biometrics? Biometric uses the physical and behavioral human characteristics to digitally identify a person to grant them access to any type of device or data. So instead of having to remember any type of password or carry around a key card, you can just use your physical trait like your eye or your face to grant access to any type of data. And this is something you cannot forget or lose because it's your physical trait. So how does biometrics work? So there are 3 steps to get the data. The first step is enrollment, which will record or scan your information. So for example, your eye. Second step is the storage, which will analyze the trait and translate it into a code. The third step is comparison, which will compare the current trait that you're showing with the one that's already in the system, and that will determine if you will get access to the data. So all biometrics will have the same 3 components, which is sensor, computer, and software. The sensor will detect the trait during the step of enrollment. The computer will read and store that information, and the software will analyze the trait, translate it into the codes, and perform the actual step of comparison. So how will biometric and information system work? So since the purpose of biometrics is to protect our personal information, it can be used to protect our businesses from both IT threats and physical threats. So an example of IT threat would be your business being hacked, your business website being hacked, or your client's information being stolen from the computer. A physical threat would be an unauthorized individual entering your business. Biometric technology will compare the data that is stored and confirm it with the authentic data to access the database. So there are 2 types of biometrics that can be used. The first will be physiological biometrics, which uses your physical features. So first, and the most common, is fingerprints. This is seen in the iPhone, and it uses the ridges of your fingerprints to identify. The next one is the facial recognition, which analyzes your facial features, patterns, and measurements. This has been seen in the newer iPhones since 2017. Next is the iris, which measures like folds in your eye muscle to confirm the user. And last is the DNA, which uses segments of your DNA, and this is mainly used in law enforcement. The second type of biometric is behavioral biometrics. This is a newer approach, and it is used to differentiate between human and robot, and it is also used to filter out any type of spams. First is voice recognition, which is used by creating a voice print by tracking the person's tone, pace, accent, and the way it comes out of a person's vocal tract. This is used to identify a speaker for access. Voice-based data assistance and telephone-based services uses voice recognition to identify customers. Next is signature, which will analyze the person's pen stroke, pressure, and speed. And next will be the keystroke, which measures your typing patterns. And it can identify any inappropriate activity under your account and notify you.
As per biometrics, there are both advantages and disadvantages to using this software. Some of the advantages of using biometrics is to protect personal information. Added security measures such as facial recognition and fingerprint scanning ensure the protection of both personal and private information. Also, biometrics can be used for the benefit of the public. Places of high traffic such as airports are starting to use face recognition software to screen passengers before allowing them into the terminal. In addition, these software systems are difficult for hackers to gain access. For instance, it is very difficult to recreate the eye of an individual. On the other hand, there are a few disadvantages to this system. One of these drawbacks revolve around the reason why these information systems are secure. It is difficult to change an individual's biological identity. Also, if there is an object obscuring the point of verification, then the system may not properly identify the individual. For instance, for many iPhone users who use facial recognition, wearing a face mask has proved to be difficult for accessing the iPhone. And most importantly, this technology is not inexpensive. Many biometric information systems, such as both facial and vocal recognitions, may cost a company or organization millions of dollars.
Some of the companies who have adapted to use biometrics include Apple and banks such as JP Morgan Chase Bank. They adapted the feature of the fingerprint and face recognition, which allows users an easier and safer login process. Some of the manufacturers, such as Anvis Global and Zebra, are two of the leading producers of RFID tags. Retail stores, amongst other stores selling items, they use these tags to keep items safe and preventing theft, as well as keeping track of their inventory. Another manufacturer includes Agnitio. They're a global leader in voice biometrics. They focus on voice intelligence and assist the government by detecting fraudulent activity, as well as providing their services for military use.
So here are a few biometric business applications. First, we have iPro, which is a facial recognition on cell phones, and it helps prevent against hacking and identity theft. Second is CCTV, which is a cost-effective facial recognition on cameras for surveillance and tracking suspicious individuals. Third, we have LaborTrack, which is a mobile software time tracking application that eases workflow. Third, we have SSO, which is single sign-on. Its primary function is to make your login information more secure, and it uses things such as fingerprint recognition and multi-factor authentication. Next, we have Interpol, which its three main crime programs are to counter terrorism, cybercrime, and organized and emerging crime. And it scans fingerprints of criminals and puts them in a uniform system.
Because of biometrics, companies such as Apple have generated millions in profit and have experienced substantial amount of money losses from using biometrics to improve the security of their users. For example, when Apple launched the iPhone 5S in the late 2013, they introduced the first biometric information system to access their device. They used the fingerprint identification. As a result, they sold an approximate 85 million devices within the first 6 months of release. However, when the iPhone X released in the late 2018, the company improved their biometric system to facial recognition to gain access to their device. As a result, approximately 124 million devices were sold in its first 6 months of release. Because of the updated biometrics, Apple saw an increase in sales of about 35 million devices. Although an improved system may be beneficial, as of 2018, Apple reported a loss of $1.5 billion due to an increased identity theft risk from their users. However, Apple also reported a profit gain of about $60 billion in sales.
So, although that there are apps in development to aid those visually impaired, but Google plans to reinvent the navigation systems to further aid those who are unable to see. Google Translate is already attempting to further advance their communication systems in regards to their translating abilities. For instance, doctors are already comfortable using their technology to better understand foreign-speaking patients. In regards to medical advancement, improved biometrics can simply improve the workflow in a medical environment. Lastly, improved biometrics in general will simply make the quality of life more efficient. This will now conclude our presentation. We hope our efforts to thoroughly express and illustrate biometrics and the importance of those advancements will suffice. Thank you for your time.